Good morning, everyone. I've got lots to get through today, so I'm going to get a wriggle on. Okay. So yesterday we talked about stenciling on the digital kit, and I said that today I was going to talk to you about decoupaging with napkins. I firstly want to go through though more stenciling with the 1930s mag, because there's a little bit more consideration to put into this particular journal, all right? Because of the magazine colours, the colours are blue, sort of a creamy yellowy colour, a green, there's a white, that they're very specific colours, but they're very pale. Now this could end up affecting what you then do in the rest of the journal. The other thing that can affect it as well is what you're then going to make your tags and journaling cards and all of that sort of stuff that you're going to add to it. Now, one of the problems with the 1930s is that the 1920s was a very specific style. It was sort of Art Deco, Art Nouveau, very chic with in terms of dress, with the fringing and all of that sort of stuff. The 1940s was a very definitive style because it was based around war year stuff, so there's lots of things. 1930s kind of stuck in the middle. So at the beginning of the 1930s, it was very similar to the 1920s in terms of its style. The end of the 1930s was the start of the war years and all of that went on there. So the 1930s was more of a transition period in terms of style. So it's a little bit more difficult to be very specific about this particular journal. Now what I have done is I have set up on my Pinterest a page where I've been collecting 1930s stuff. I'll put the link in the description box below. Go and have a look at it. Now, I'm not saying that you can use those images because I haven't researched them. I don't know if they're free. I don't know whether they're someone else's works and therefore copyrighted. You will need to investigate that yourself. But if you use that as a bit of a guide to style, and maybe even colours, you might be able to get some idea for colours from it. Now, for me, I'm going to keep my background decoration in terms of the stenciling, in terms of the decoupaging. I'm going to keep it very subtle, relatively neutral. I'm not going to go for any bright vivid colours because I think if I add any colour to it, I'm going to add it with the journaling cards and the tags and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to keep it relatively simple. Okay, so as you all know, I've been using, she says and then can't find one, la da 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 da, yeah. So I've been using the come on Carol, shape yourself. I've been using my lace coffee dyed paper, and so I want to keep the background kind of as subtle as that. So that's what I'm going to do in my background. So the colour that I'm going to be using is antique linen. There is another colour that I'm going to use as well, which is tattered rose. I did contemplate using milled lavender. I'm discounting the milled lavender because what I did was I did a little sample piece to just see what I thought of the colours, and I just thought that the antique linen was a pretty enough colour that it went with the colours of the pages in terms of the blues, the greens, the creams, and it was subtle enough that it was in the background, so it sort of tied in with the lace coffee dyed papers that I've used. The purple to me was a very definite colour, and it if I put it next to one of the images. I just thought, oh, I'm not quite so sure about that. But the pink, I could actually start adding a little hint of pink in there to start to liven it up a little. Now, in terms of what I'm going to use as a stencil, I was very lucky in that Andrea Allen of Artie May's Andrea Allen showed these on Facebook one day. And these were in B&M, which is a shop in the UK. $2.99 a pack, and they're laser cut craft papers. And those are the patterns that are within the book. And that's what you get. So they're all cut out. So you know how I said yesterday about die cutting your card to use to make your own stencil? Well, that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to use this particular one, and I'm probably going to use this right the way throughout, because I think that if I add too many different types, I think it's going to look a little bit confusing. And because, as I say, I found that the 1930s was a bit of a mixture of all sorts in terms of its style, I think trying to choose patterns that then mirrored that was actually quite difficult. So I decided to go with this simple all over pattern, because it is the sort of thing that I can just do in a corner, I can do as a border. Lots of different ideas there. Then the other thing that I found that I'd got, and this, if I remember rightly, was a rack that I received from Norella of Calico Collage, and it's a paper die cut lace, and you peel off the back to reveal the sticky and then glue it on. So what I thought for this was that if I went to my centre, now I'm not doing an envelope, I'm actually using these two ladies here, and I'm going to insert that so that my stitching will be on the inside, and then I will attach something down this side to join the two pieces together, so then it becomes a top loading pocket, or I could just glue the top and the bottom so then it becomes a side loading pocket. But what I thought was I could do excuse me, is I could place that on the edge and then do some stenciling through that, so it almost gives the effect of a lace border. But then I could also choose a lace to stick on the back of the page that, you know, complements this. But I'll have to see how that one goes with the lace bit. Now, the other thing that I found was, it's only words, and words are all I have to take my heart away. Okay, yeah, all right, I'm rubbish at singing. This I got from Hobbycraft. Get rid of the plastic bag. And it's a selection of words. Stencils. But the likes of home, love, family, that was sort of very big in those days. So I thought that having words throughout as well would be quite nice. And of course we've got stamps that are all words related as well. So you could use your stamps for that. And the other thing is the front page on the digital kit one, we did the lines with the corrugated card. So on this one, I've done a washi tape border. Alright, and it's got the pinks in there, the subtle pinks. Excuse me, which helps to tie in then with the colours of the tattered rose. Now I'm just going to show you very quickly how I did the corners here, because they're mitered, and I need a piece of paper. I'll show you on this. This is how professional I am. I'm going to do it on a scrappy bit of paper, and I've chosen this bright pink so that you can see what I'm doing. So basically, scissors, where the fuck is there? Whew. So basically I laid down my washi tape, but I didn't push it down into place because I need to be able to lift up the ends. Alright, you see that? Okay, and then so I did that top and bottom, or long side, and then I did the other side and laid it over the top and extended it beyond. And again, I'm not pushing it down into place. Now, can you see here, it's formed a square where the two have overlapped. And if I cut from this corner here to this corner here, I end up with a 45-degree angle, which will give me the mitered corner. So what I need to do is to lift those two pieces up together. So this is what you do with your wallpaper borders as well, if they're still fashionable. So then I inserted my scissors underneath, either from this side or from that side, whichever's easier for you, and you cut. Make sure that the washi tape is connected to each other, and then you cut from the corner to the corner. Take off the excess washi tape. One will be underneath and one will be on top, and then cross fingers don't quite match up because I'm rushing a bit, but then you end up with the mitered corner. Now if you've got a very specific patterned washi tape, you do need to think about it, because you could end up with half a flower on this side and 3/4 of a flower on this side. One's pink, one's orange, and they don't match up and it looks a bit silly. So you might want to just think about the pattern on that. Right, so so that's what I did on my front page there. And again, thinking in terms of, this could be the bio page, the intro page, the contents page, the index page, whatever you want to call it. And of course then I could also stencil or stamp a word up here. All right, now then, napkin. Again, because of the colours that I'm thinking of using, I'm going to eliminate these, but I could use these background pieces here. All right, because as I say, I want to keep them so that they're subtle and in the background, because really journals are for writing in, and that's what they're meant to be about. I've got a tickle in my throat today, sorry. All right, now as I say, there are many videos out there that show you how to do this. All right, so if you don't quite understand me, you can go off and go and watch some others, and everyone has their own little techniques. Again, most napkins are 3-ply, which means there's 3 different layers. And God, her name's gone. I can picture her, I can hear her. I know you're shouting at the screen probably. It'll come to me. So she uses a piece of tape, whatever this lady's name is, and lays a piece of tape on there and pulls it off, and it rips off. Okay, and what I do is I just run my thumbnail across the corner very gently, and it just helps to lift off. You see how it's just lifted off that corner there. So now I can peel that away. That's layer number 1. And don't throw these away, I have a use for them. And just do it again. And this one's been stubborn. Normally it comes like a dream. I've ripped it a bit. There we go. And there's layer number 2. Now you'll find that layer number 2, because of the way they've been printed, can sometimes pick up a little bit of imaging on the background, which can sometimes work in your favour, because then you could use that as well. But you know how you get, I've got a hymn sheet book, that a friend gave me, and it's really, really flimsy paper. And I thought, well, if I cover it with a couple of layers of this, the music will still show through, and it makes the paper thicker, and it also then gives me a surface then to write on top of. Interesting surface, but nonetheless a surface. All right, so then I'm going to rip out the bit that I want. Now, because I want it up in this corner, oh sorry, knocking you, I need to think about the direction of it, because I've got a right angle here. And if I turn it so that it matches the right angle of the napkin, the flowers are the wrong way on. So I'm probably going to need to rip right the way around it to make it even. Because if I put it on that way, I'm going to have a straight edge down here. Doesn't matter about that top bit, but it does down here, and that looks a bit silly. So I'm going to rip round there and leave the top edge flat. So then I can put that up to the edge of the page. Now, there's no art skill in this, you just rip. You just need to do it very carefully and in small parts, so that you get the image that you want. Right. And then I'm going to use my PVA tacky glue. Just going to put a bit in there. Now, as I said before, this is the sort of technique that you need to put the page to one side and leave it to dry. It doesn't. Oh, just kicked my skull, pal. It doesn't take too long, and I'm just going to put a tiny drop of water in there. And I'm using this little flat brush. You could use a sponge, a makeup sponge. It's just that if you use the glue as it is, it's a little bit too thick. And you don't want too much water in, because then the water will just soak into the page and it will start to tear your page. So you still want the consistency of the glue. So a little bit like from double cream to single cream. I know that it needs to be there, so I can kind of see that I need to put glue around this area. And it doesn't matter if you go beyond where the napkin is going to go, because it will just dry clear. It might have a little bit of a shiny surface depending on the glue that you use. But we're just going to put a thin layer of glue down. And then I'm going to place that on top with that straight edge near the top of the page, dabbing it with my finger, because this is now really delicate, this paper. And then I'm going to paint my glue on the top. Now, some of you use Mod Podge for this. That's fine. Whatever glue works for you, you can always test a piece out on a separate piece of paper. If there's anything you're ever not sure of, test it out first. Don't wait for approval from someone. Try it, because you never know. It might just work. And if it doesn't, then at least you know. I get asked quite a few questions and I'm like, just give it a go. You're not going to hurt anyone, are you? And if it's wrong, and you've done it on one of your pages, just pull it out. Nothing's attached yet anyway. So, as you can see, I've just really delicately applied, and delicate isn't a word you normally associate with me, but I've just delicately applied a thin layer of glue. But ain't that pretty with that one? So that colour-wise, look, it all just tones in beautifully. Loving that, loving it. Right, I'm going to put that to one side, because I just want to do a little bit of stenciling. I've lost my page. That one. Right. Put that to one side to dry. Can you see it's just hanging over the edge a little as well? I'll tear that off later once it's dried. Okay. Now I'm doing this just so as you can see the colours that I was thinking of. Okay, where's my stencil? There. And the other thing that I want to try and do is try and blend two colours together. So I'm going to start with a bit of pink up here and then blend it to the antique linen one. And if you're going to have a go at blending, again, practice first. Just do that, take a bit of the excess off. Practice first and start with your lighter colours first, because you don't want them picking up the darker colours on your sponge. Let me just see what that looks like. Yeah, a little bit darker at the top corner. Yeah, liking that. And then this is the antique linen. I have a feeling this might be a touch too strong. Oh, no, that's okay. Just do a little bit more. But the thing is with the darker colours going over the top of the lighter colours is that they will then start to blend together. And the nice thing about the antique linen is it has a little bit of a hint of green on it. So can you see how it's gone from the pink right up here in this corner down to the antique linen, which I've then faded out a little. Right. Have a play. This is about you playing, but you also now need to start thinking about making up your books and your tags, because I'm not going to teach you that bit. This was just purely about making the pages. So, and I'm going to start doing the next signature. So, yeah, a few things to cover here. Right, so do all your decorating, stitch on all your lace and all of that sort of stuff. Get a better feel of what your journal is going to look like and start to think about your tags, your booklets, your note cards, all those things that you're going to tuck inside your pockets. All right. One signature will actually make a single book. So if you wanted to, you could make two separate books. And I've already made the cover for the digital book because I'm just going to make two single signature books with that, rather than having the two signatures in the gift bag, which we started off with. So I'm going to do my 1930s one in the gift bag, and I'm going to do the digital kit one by Calico Collage. I'm going to do that as two single signatures. All right. The next lot of videos that are coming up are the individual elements for the next signature. But in the meantime, you need to be doing your background decorating, your lace, and thinking about your journal cards, your tags, and maybe even start to make some of those up. Because once we then sew the signatures in, which I'm not going to show you until we have completed the second signature of elements, it gives you the chance to be working on other stuff and starting to create, and then we will then glue in all of our elements, unless of course you're stitching them in, and they will need to be done now. I'm coming up to 25 minutes, so I'm dashing off. I'll see you later. See you tomorrow. Have fun. Bye.